Hello and welcome to today's Slice of Bread. What I'd like to discuss today is this idea, this false idea, that the only way the PAP can appropriately manage and govern Singapore is if they have this supermajority, this strong mandate as they call it. And to do that, I'd like you to think about two things. How did they behave after 2011 and how did they behave after 2015? In 2011, they lost to GRC for the first time. In 2011, their share of the vote dropped to 60%. What did we have? We had the national conversation. We had adjustments in policy. The tap flooding in the foreign workers slowed down a little bit. Many things started to move in the right direction. Then we got to 2015. Now, whether you call it the Lee Kuan Yew effect, SG50, or as the result of those positive changes after 2011, they got a bigger mandate, 69% over of the vote. Same number of seats, but 69% of the vote. What have we seen since then? The price of everything has gone through the roof. Electricity, what was it? 30% they put up. Water, conservancy, car park, talking about increasing GST. We've also seen all the mistakes along the way. We've seen all the data losses. We've seen all the new laws that are closing down our space even more. We've seen POFMA come in, amongst others. And then, of course, there was the presidential election, where because of their supermajority, they could change the constitution just like that. And so instead of an election, we had a selection. All because they had that super strong mandate and the supermajority. So looking at those two, do you really think having that super strong majority, that strong mandate as they call it, is good for Singapore? Just take a moment to think about it. We are very educated people now. We are very smart people now. Their arguments, of course, are, well, if there are many voices in Parliament, how can we get anything done? Well, if you look around the world, parliaments all over the world have many voices in Parliament. And what does that do? Well, one of the things it does is it means that the government has to come in with fully developed policies. They have to be able to argue their case. They have to be able to put down facts and figures to justify why they're making the decisions they are making and answer tough questions before they implement policies. In that sort of environment, maybe you wouldn't get things like we had with the PMD debacle. That you can use these personal mobility devices. It was being pushed in a big way. Then we started having accidents. Then suddenly it was stopped. But then, of course, there was the outcry about all the people whose livings were impacted. So then we had to have another reaction and give out money and change PMDs to bikes and whatever. All of which probably could have been resolved if there'd been a good debate before they pushed PMDBs. And the first thing they said was, let's build the infrastructure for it. Let's make cycleways and bikeways. But those debates never happened because they had a supermajority. They thought they wanted to do something. It got pushed straight through. So we can see the problem. We can see how the argument that they need the supermajority is wrong. The other one, of course, is what did Lee Hsien Loong himself say? If there's 15 or 20 members of parliament there from the opposition, I'm going to have to spend all my time working out how to fix them rather than running the country. Well, first of all, what does that say about him and the government as a whole if their priority is not running the country but fixing anyone else who has another point of view? That is totally wrong at every level, morally, ethically, probably legally even. We don't even know that, but it is totally, totally wrong. And the other thing is, what about listening to them, working with them, making me do my job better? See, that's the thing. When you have an alternative in government, when you have alternative voices and you have to properly argue your case, present all your facts, you come up with better policies. You come up with better decisions. You have to think everything through completely, not just suddenly have an idea and say, yep, I want to do that, ram it through and maybe have a public relations exercise to sell it, but never have to truly justify it, and then spend all your time reacting when it all goes wrong. Imagine if we did have a parliament with a strong alternative voice there. What would that look like? Let's go back to 2011. They would have to be consultative. They would have to think things through in detail. They couldn't just jam through what they wanted all the time without considering not only the alternative voices, but more importantly, the people of Singapore. And I think we're all smart people. I think we're all educated people. We know in our families, in organisations we belong to, in our companies, if there's one person who keeps saying this is the way we do it, doesn't listen to anyone else, in fact even works hard to shut down everyone else, well, we'd call that a dysfunctional family, a dysfunctional organisation, and those things wouldn't last. And yet somehow we're supposed to believe that is the only way the government of our country can run. Now, of course, I can talk about this until the cows come home, and nothing will change unless we all do something about it. So, please think about what I've said in my slice of bread today and then take some action. That could be big action. You might join an alternative party. You might want to be a voice for the Singapore people, or you might just want to support them or donate to them as they work hard to effect those changes. Or it can be on a smaller scale, where you start asking questions, where you share what they're saying, where we build a real debate. It's not an either or. It's like if you're not totally behind PAP without thinking brainlessly, oh, I love PAP, then you are a traitor to Singapore. You want to cause trouble. You want to break things down. You're opposing for the sake of the opposing and all the other stupid and fallacious arguments they put out. No, you are a concerned Singapore citizen who wants a better country for all. So, I know you're smart. I know you're educated. Think about 2011. Think about 2015. Is it really in the best interest of Singapore to just let one person say what they want without listening to anyone else, shutting down everyone else, and just riding roughshod over the thoughts, the feelings and the needs of the majority of the people in this country for their own private agenda? Think about it deeply. And that's my slice of bread today. Thank you.